are, in fact, starting with Prime Minister Mark Carney's big speech yesterday about our rapidly changing world. It's a speech that has been getting global attention. He made the remarks at the World Economic Forum yesterday, which was Tuesday. So take a listen.
We know the old order is not coming back. We shouldn't mourn it. Nostalgia is not a strategy. But we believe that from the fracture, we can build something bigger, better, stronger, more just.
Now, Carney did not to that.
Yeah.
So many quotes. Though Carney did not specifically call out U.S. President Donald Trump or even say the United States, the message was crystal clear. And countries like Canada, he says, need to change how they operate. So this comes on the heels of this trip that he did also last week to Beijing. Anybody watching that? He clinched a deal to get China to lower tariffs on Canadian canola. Let's have a reaction to this big speech yesterday. What did you think, Cyn?
I mean, for people who haven't watched it from start to finish, you must. People are saying this is a speech that will go down in history, and I felt so many emotions while I was watching it. I thought it was intelligent. I thought it was moving. I thought it was a little, like, arousing in its own way, because I was just like, I was in awe of this man, and I thought to myself, like, most politicians, let's be honest, they don't write their own speeches. And I found out he wrote this speech, and that is incredible. It spoke to I think a lot of truths in a very calm way, and it also inspired hope. What I was noticing in the comments were people from Europe, people who are our allies, most of our allies, and people from within Canada who have been notoriously on opposite sides of the spectrum, namely people maybe from Calgary, were all writing, yes, Prime Minister, yes, we are so proud of what you've done here. So I felt this kind of glow, and then followed quickly by a bit of terror. Are you guys afraid?
Why were you terrified?
Just this gonna poke, like, we already know Donald Trump is unhinged, and he's gonna be very mad.
He's responded to it.
Yes, but he's unhinged about everything.
That is true.
You flip your hair to a different side, he's gonna get upset about that.
Yeah.
I think, first of all, I was not surprised at the quality of that speech, because that's what I expect from our Prime Minister, and he delivered. And I feel like the reason why we're all responding this way is because the last 12 months have been absolute chaos between Epstein files and weaponizing tariffs and ICE and all of that stuff. A lot of us are watching the news and feeling very helpless. And we're also kind of waiting for somebody to stand up and say something, because typically or historically, the United States, the leader of the United States, has always been the person to kind of calm everybody down when there's chaos. And now they are the chaos. And I feel like we're all just kind of going, well, we don't know what to do if the Americans aren't the one calming everybody down. So that speech was so neat, and I think that's why everybody's responding that way. But kudos to our Prime Minister, very proud Canadian this morning after that speech.
Think, Carly?
I feel the same. It made me feel proud to be a Canadian, which is a good feeling to have. Like you said, we're so divided that sometimes you don't always feel that way. So I was really happy about that. I also liked that he didn't reference America specifically. I'm a bit tired of hearing about them all the time and hearing about Canada in relation to them. It's nice to talk about us and ourselves. I like that he said nostalgia is not a strategy. He's so intelligent and well-spoken and I think knowledge and confidence are how you deal with a bully. And he has both of that, and he's giving that to us. He's making us knowledgeable about tariffs and the economy, and he's making us confident about being a Canadian. And I think that's an amazing thing.
Do you guys remember when we talked about him coming into office, that we were like, oh, he's a bit boring? Do you remember?
Yeah.
I love boring so much. I love boring so much. He is brilliant. And when you watch yesterday's speech, it was preceded by the host who actually listed all of Mark Carney's accomplishments. And he is a global man. And so he brought that breadth of experience to that speech yesterday. And I want to pull out a couple of quotes, because the whole thing is quotable. Everything could be a T-shirt that he said yesterday. For example, middle powers must act together, because if you are not at the table, you are on the menu.
Well, that was a good one. I like that one.
Great powers can afford to go it alone. They have the market size, the military capacity, the leverage to dictate terms. Middle powers do not. But when we only negotiate bilaterally with the hegemon, we negotiate from weakness. This is the good stuff. We accept what is offered. We compete with each other to be the most accommodating. This is not sovereignty. It is the performance of sovereignty while accepting subordination. He yesterday said all the quiet parts out loud, without ever invoking the name of the man who, unfortunately, today is saying Carney should watch what comes out of his mouth, essentially. I paraphrase. So I, too, am proud. I'm also very scared, but at the same time, at least Mark Carney so far is coming out as who I think is going to lead the so-called middle powers through this tumultuous time, and I'm so
I know, and we need that. I know. Aren't you a proud Canadian? I'm so proud today. I'm always proud, but super proud today.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on. A mom wrote into the Globe and Mail that her family is delaying pet ownership until her toddler is older. She writes that cost is a consideration, but so is the mental and physical toll of having a dog would add to their lives. So, Carly, how important is it for kids to grow up with pets?
I think it's very important. I grew up with animals. I love animals. I just got a new cat recently, and thank you. Her name is Jennifer.
Oh, Jennifer!
I love a cat with a human name.
Yes.
That's so cute.
And I implied to my partner the other day that I gave birth to her by accident. Like, I love animals so much. I think that that partnership is so sacred. It teaches you to be compassionate, it teaches you to take care of something.
Yeah, absolutely.
I grew up with a bunch of animals. I think getting an animal is similar to going to Disneyland with a child. You should wait until they can have memories of it.
Okay.
Don't take a child to Disneyland when they're 3 because then they don't remember it.
Yeah.
Get a dog when they're 10 and then they can hopefully help a little bit and remember it and have like a lovely life with those animals. Like my family dogs that I grew up with were like my brothers.
Yes.
You know?
I love this, and I believe in this, even though I didn't grow up with pets at all. And I still think there are ways, like I obviously learned compassion and all the kinds of, like I learned all those things. There are other ways to do that. But right now, we had a cat. The cat died during the pandemic, R.I.P. Sally Hot Dog. And then since then, I was like, I needed a pet. I really want a dog or a cat, and Jason hasn't been ready. And so we made the mistake of getting fish.
What's the mistake?
I just don't recommend this at all.
Okay, but here's the deal. I think you reverse order. What you're supposed to do is start off with something simple, like a goldfish, and then work your way up to the dog and the cat.
Yeah.
Or the cat and the dog.
But still,
because
the fish is just like, there's so much work. I thought it was going to be easy, but it is so
Well,
much
it's just
work.
a bowl and a little bit of food every day.
No, it's not.
You
It
got
is
fancy
not.
fish.
tank.
Wait, you got fancy
Clean the
fish.
tank.
You have to clean the tank. I started them in a bowl.
That's
they
hard?
were growing,
Okay.
and that was not good. And then plus you have to clean it all the time, and they give you no rewards. And then things got weird. They started
What
fighting
did the
with each other.
goldfish owe you? What did you want it to do?
I just wanted some, like, if
You
I'm
wanted
gonna
to
invest-
recognize you.
That's right.
Yeah,
Say hi
yeah.
when I walk in the door.
Yeah.
See, I know my parents.
I
wouldn't
get
have- I know. My parents wouldn't allow me to have a pet, but I desperately wanted a dog, and I remember asking when I was like 8 or 9, and then I got a sister, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I said dog, but I don't know. It got lost in translation. But you know what they did? They started off small. Like I got a pet rock. And then we were, I know, very fancy. Because if you're worried about cost and taking care of you, and you want to make sure the kid is invested and they understand, because kids want a dog until they have to walk it every single day and feed it and all the vet bills. But you work your way up. Then I went to the goldfish. Then I went to the budgie. And then eventually I got the dog. And it's like, yeah, I learned something from each one of those animals. So you went backwards with the goldfish.
I think we learned you need something with fur or hair.
Thank you. I do.
Yeah,
I do.
scales don't cut it.
no,
They
no.
don't cut it.
Yeah.
Sorry, lizard lovers.
All right, is closure overrated? Well, a piece in the New York Times points out that when difficult things happen, our first instinct is to seek answers. But experts told the Times that it can also cause you even further pain. So how important is closure to you guys?
Ooh,
Very? Okay, so I see some no's.
yeah.
Varies? Okay.
Obviously, I think it depends on the situation and who hurt you and what happened. I just think it would be so much faster and cheaper to get over your trauma if you did get closure from that other person, because then you could save that money from therapy. Because personally, and I'll go back to stuff that I've talked about on the show a lot, when I had an ex-partner who was disloyal to me and had cheated on me for a very long time, all I wanted was an acknowledgement. Yes, I did that. I was gaslighting you for a year, and you were right and I was wrong. Like, that's the simplistic version of it. But of course, we know that's the ideal world. That's not how things happen. But you never know if an ex-girlfriend becomes a national talk show host. And when that happens, then I just air my grievances on air, and I feel much better now.
You
I don't need the closure.
I love that. Because basically, you've kind of made your own closure.
You've helped me.
There you go.
Right.
I'm just curious if now, like, how would you feel if because you said there was a time when you would have appreciated he picked up the phone and said, like, I did this and I'm sorry and whatever.
Yeah.
How would you feel if he did it now at
I
this stage?
actually still think it
You
would be amazing.
Really?
Because I think a lot of people have have realized as they've gotten older and they've learned and they've had different relationships that they made some mistakes, and they hesitate to go back to those people because you don't want to open up, like, what if he's like, oh, she's in a happy marriage, she has a child. I don't want to open up that can of worms, even if it could provide closure.
Yeah, I don't like to put my happiness in other people's hands. I just find other people very disappointing sometimes. Like, to me, I could get that closure, but I think oftentimes the actual answer when somebody hurts you, or like if you don't get a job that you wanted and you want closure as to why you didn't, a lot of times the answer is it's not really about you at all, which is worse to me. I want it to be, that hurts my feelings.
Yeah.
So I think to me, I'd actually rather be delusional. Like if I don't get a job,
You don't want to know.
I want to be like, oh, I'm happy I didn't get that job because their HR department is so bad that they couldn't see how amazing I am.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah,
So you
or-
get to do your own spin.
Yeah, your ex-husband is just, like, if he can't see what he has in front of him.
Ex-boyfriend, but
Ex-
yes.
yeah,
yes,
Ex-boyfriend,
but thank you.
ex-partner. Yeah, can't see what he has in front of him.
Right.
That's a serious personality flaw. Doing you a favor in the long run, now you have a wonderful life.
So you
That's a good way to
spin
look
it.
at
You
it.
spin it to make your own closure.
That's
I like
yeah,
that
I
idea.
think it's healthy in the long run.
In romantic relationships, I know I don't need the closure, but my therapist and I had a really interesting conversation about the word because it does mean different things to different people.
Sure.
For some people, closure means, oh, I want to see you again just to see if there's maybe a little bit of a spark because I want back in, but I'm coming with closure. Other people are like, there are things that I didn't say or maybe I didn't have the courage to say back then, so I want to say them now because I'm still holding on to that years later. And then there are other people who want closure because they want to be like, look at me, you messed up. Didn't you see? I want you to acknowledge that you messed up. But there's a clip going viral. This woman is getting married and her fiance said, I want closure with my girlfriend. And so she drove him to his girlfriend's house. And I want you guys to take a
Like
look
an
at this clip.
ex-girlfriend.
This is his ex-girlfriend.
Okay.
This is him saying goodbye to his ex-girlfriend. And this is him falling apart. And she writes, he was telling her, his ex-girlfriend, he was saying this to, you were my first everything, my first love. And he was crying so hard that he could barely breathe. Now, she goes on to say that she feels good about allowing him to have that moment, but I don't know about you. That didn't look like closure to me. That looks like someone who has a lot of feelings about their ex, and he's supposed to be getting married in a couple of weeks to the woman who is recording that video.
That's the
so
thing.
I'm saying closure means different things to different people.
That's a whole other topic.
That
We need to
is.
dissect that video.
They think that's closure.
I can't imagine sitting behind that wheel watching that happen as he's talking to her. I'd be like, beep, 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 beep.
I'd be wearing
Wrap it up.
Okay, there's been talks of facial conformity in Hollywood, that by imitating a narrow beauty standard, that everyone is kind of starting to look the same. Now, a writer for Allure is actually arguing that thanks to women like Helen Mirren, Claire Danes, and Jessie Buckley, we are starting to see real human faces on screen more often again. So, Carly, do you think we're seeing a sort of backlash to what they're referring to as the facial conformity era?
I hope so. I hope at least in terms of Hollywood, we at least get to see a diversity of the ways in which faces look. And you got to see that, I think, like, if I rewatch something from even 20 years ago, there are such different faces, you know? When I was rewatching The West Wing earlier this year, or last year, you would simply never see a hairline like that on TV today. A receding hairline, or in period pieces, people with big veneers in a period piece, things like that, where I think your job as an actor is to communicate the breadth of the human experience and look like a bunch of different people. I think that it's good to look like a different person, you know?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think there's a backlash against this face because we've seen a lot, I'm not gonna name any names because I don't wanna hurt anybody's feelings, but I think we've seen a lot of very attractive public people who've done stuff to themselves and we're like, why did you do that? You looked great before, you didn't need that.
Yeah.
And then you see everybody else doing the same thing and it's like, why is everybody making their mouth so big, their nose so small and filling up their face where it's like, you're contorting yourself to a way, it doesn't actually make you look younger or better, you just look different. But recently I've just taken 2 trips out of the country and I realized this is very North American and specific places in North America.
Yes.
Because I went to other places, there are chipped teeth and wrinkles and wonky eyes and warts all over the place, and no one's fixing it. It's like, I think it's us and our algorithm of what we're telling each other how we're supposed to look, because it's not outside of these borders as much.
Yeah, I
No.
mean, listen, Europe, they're just in a different world, in a nice bubble that we'd like to maybe bring back here. I actually don't see a backlash I don't know. And that's not because I like to put needles in my own face, okay? Just for the record. I actually think there is a major difference between you being an actor in Hollywood, and it is your job to portray different people and
show
make
emotion.
it reality and show emotion. We remember when Nicole Kidman, it was the 2014 Cannes Film Festival. She showed up, she was doing Grace in Monaco, or it was when she played Princess Grace. People went for her. Now, you can't see her face moving, but when she started to move at this red carpet, people freaked out, and they started to say, your face is frozen, what did you do? Because she's an actress. But guess who else occupies a lot of screen time that influences us maybe even more heavily than Nicole Kidman? It's reality stars.
Yes.
And there is not a backlash. Any housewife, they all look the same. Love Island, as soon as people get big on reality TV, that's where you see facial conformity. But those people are more accessible and relatable to me than Nicole Kidman. I gotta say, so I just think, you know.
I feel like we don't have enough time to, but I feel like that's an interesting statement. So why do you feel they're more related? Like the reality stars on the Real Housewives, like, to me, they're totally unrelatable.
I don't mean, I'm not a housewife, but the idea that they are a reality star, their job is to not have an emotive face. Their job is to, quote unquote, look a certain way. Or Love Island. Those are everyday, regular people.
But I feel like if you watch, because I watch those shows, the first season those women are on, they all have their regular face. And then by the next season, I think they read all the comments about what's wrong with them, and then they come back and you're like, who's that?
I mean, even on,
right?
I'm obsessed with the Mormon Wives. That's it's not good.
So listen,
you know?
I got housewives.
Yeah,
it's okay.
exactly. And it's so sad. Those women are very young. Like they're very, very young, and they actually look a bit older after the first season, yet because they get a bunch of plastic surgery. And again, it doesn't make you look younger, it just makes you look different. It makes you look done. And it's sad.
Yeah.
I mean, again, if it makes you feel better, then it's good. But I agree with you. I think it's in reaction to negative feedback.
Negative feedback, but I just want to say, during the pandemic, when everybody was on Zoom, there was a Botox boom because we were all looking at ourselves on screen for the first time somehow. Anyway, Carly, this is why we love having your perspective.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming back.